What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Sarlacc Digest, a community bringing you line talk and digesting Star Wars topics over 1,000 years. This is episode 231 being recorded on October 18th, 2023. I'm your host, Darth Moocher. I've got Grand Admiral Franz here.
What's going on?
Nobody knows where Bootleg Joe's at. Scott's sick,
Joey.
and Ernie will be joining us here in about 5-6 minutes. So,
Hey, so real quick before we get started, 231. We are one episode away from Fun with Flags when Sheldon quit at 232.
That's
so I just
right.
want you to know that that caught that today on a rewatch in the background. Just happened to hear we're on episode 232. So we're closing in.
That's funny. Little Big Bang Theory trivia.
We're about to cross over. We're gonna.
You know what? We'll have to do like a Beyond the Pit one day of Big Bang.
Yeah,
I would love it, dude. Do you know what? Okay, real fast before we get to, do you know what episode on Big Bang when they started Fun with Flags?
No, hold on. Who?
What season and what episode?
No, I don't. Help me.
Season 5, episode 14.
Oh, what was going on in it? Help me.
I don't remember
episode number for some reason. That's weird.
Yeah, it's because when it came up, I paused it like, okay, I got to embed that in my brain because that is like pure trivia.
Oh,
but
we'll
talk about that.
I'm gonna go watch it later.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, yeah. So Ernie will be joining us here. I know he's finishing up the Fallen Fett Chronicles over there. So we'll have him with us. But before we get into all this good Star Wars stuff and good news and rumors and our own theory crafting this week, we're going to go ahead and kick it over to you this time to go ahead and shout out our Patreons plus or Shadow Council plus everybody who's being digested in the pit right now. So they're eager to talk some Star Wars. So take it away, Grand Admiral.
Well, let's pop that list up of all our wonderful patrons and go through the Shadow Council. All right. Thanks, AJ, from the Forbidden Panel. Thank you to all Star Wars fans from Instagram and, England.
Yes.
Brandon and Anya Epler, Cliff, Crystal E, Darth Josepher, Dennis McGrath, Don the Dad Dorn, Don and Brady of the Escape Pod podcast, Eric Grubb, Flavy Davey, formerly of the Nerds with Attitude, Ryan and the Star Joes podcast, Gavin Connor from the Holy Hour All Cure podcast, Justin the Vanilla Thunder, Mervine Bolanos, Matt Logic, Papa Schmitty. Thank you all. We appreciate you and your Patreonage. And keep it coming. Tell your friends. We do very much appreciate you. Next.
Absolutely. So let's get the pit going because I know look at
there's people in the pit. Let's roll. Okay. All right. Here we go. Pit. Who we got? Miss Sunflower. Hello. Good evening.
Yeah, she's early.
The Dad Dorn is in there as well. Mando Mike from Blythe somehow in some way got his signal in here. So good job, Mike. And Master Genobi in the pit. Wow. Little Juliet and Mighty. I'm sure they're all very talkative in there. Who else do I miss?
You got Cliff.
Why is my thing not rolling? Oh, Cliff's in there. I wouldn't miss Cliff.
You didn't scroll down.
That was sad. And yeah, it was Flags, buddy.
Cliff, did you check out the live stream for SWTOR? This I have just a little sidebar there. I don't know if he's even playing anymore, but yeah, more of the same. So yeah, that was between him and me. So sorry about that. Yeah. So there's one thing that was making the rounds, kind of going on with the Star Wars world when it comes to Skeleton Crew, right? So we're gonna bring up
Hondo's in it in the lead.
Hey, this might even enhance our Hondo theory coming up. So anyway, we've got our segment
Truth or Pollo.
Okay. Do we all know the actor Jal-El White, also known as Urkel? Steve Urkel from Family Matters. He's a household name. If you say Urkel, everybody knows who Urkel is at, right? Well, I guess he was rumored. I guess it came out that he's going to be in the Skeleton Crew as a pirate, right? Like he's confirmed to be in it. So we did our digging and we found the source, and it is legit. It is fact. It's him saying it.
It was him.
And it was kind of like an off the cuff interview at a hockey game, right? Like the whole thing, he was at a hockey game and he was interviewing. I was like, hey, what do you got coming out? And basically he says, yo, I'm going to be on a Disney Plus show, Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew. I sat in makeup for 2 hours and I'm going to be a pirate on this. And so he kind of, I don't know if he let it out of the bag or was, but
he wasn't supposed to say it.
He wasn't supposed to say it, right? But now it's like, everybody's running with it. So, So my very first, okay, so honestly, cool, right? Like my very first reaction was like, why? Not because it's Urkel or Jalal White, not him. It's why would he put himself into Star Wars being Urkel, like known for that he's typecasted as that, and he's, you know what I mean? I feel bad for the backlash that's already going to happen, not from our end, but from people just being that it's almost like, you know, Screech from Saved by the Bell being in Star Wars, or somebody in that where they're typecasted as this weird character that we all know, and now they're in Star Wars. Now,
aren't we? Hasn't Star Wars kind of become the place of second chances and forgiveness and
I'm cool with
change, right? Because I mean, even with our own characters, lately,
you know, the backlash is coming,
Best
right?
and everybody, you know, and
Yeah.
Anakin, everybody's loving them now. Why don't we just give the same love to everybody else? Let them come in here and get in that part of that world, because the fandom is very forgiving and lovable when you become a good part of the
I like I said, I have no problem with it. Like, you know, I don't see, I've seen his other works. I've seen him do other things. He's a good actor, but he's playing a pirate. He's going to be, you know, in makeup. We don't know the role, the extent of the role and all that stuff. So, I mean, I'm happy for it. I think it's cool. But I'm just like I said, my first inkling is like, damn it, people are going to backlash it before they see one thing about it. Because it's like one of those names that the last name that you would expect to see in Star Wars doing anything, right?
Well, I don't know. I think last year Lizzo and Jack Black kind of
that kind of
taught me. Yeah.
Well, there it is, right?
They'll pull anybody in.
Yeah.
So it's I don't mind. He's gonna be in makeup. He's gonna be
that's what I'm saying. At least he gets a chance to be a character, right? So
yeah.
Cliff is saying if they're gonna pull in going for 90 stars for Skeleton Crew, would the Olsen twins been better casting?
And you have the other Olsen in the MCU side, and we'd have
the
twins. Well done.
Oh, Miss Sunflower, she doesn't know who Steve Urkel is. His name sounds familiar though. Look up Family Matters and Steve Urkel, and you'll get like why it's almost like
really nerdy, like suspenders, pants up to his belly button.
I mean, he played that. Yeah, he played that for years, and that's all he was like basically known for, right? So that there is that, you know, and I know that he tried a lot of stuff. I saw him once in a playing a gangbanger role. It was fun. I couldn't get past it. You know, I was like, oh no.
Well, it's kind of like watching Harry Potter, watching Daniel Radcliffe do anything.
That's right.
And so I get it. It's tough. I would have trouble with that, I suppose, because anything I watch him in, I like. But it's like, you're Harry.
Yeah.
Harry.
Yeah, Don. Again, he wants to prove his, and he can act. I've seen him in other roles and stuff like that. But again, it's that initial shock of the name being in it. But look, we're gonna reach out with
Mike. What's wrong with Mike on his next comment? What's wrong with Hera?
Mike.
What's wrong
Mike's
with
saying he can't be any worse than the Hera actress.
Yeah.
Wow, Mike.
Get him out of here. Can we ban him yet? Have you tried to ban him?
I've tried, but he said he just makes a new account because we could ban him for 30 days. He just keeps popping back in, right?
Popping back in. Then we say, "Oh, look, Mando's back."
That's funny. But yeah, so it's fact. The rumors are true. It's confirmed. He confirmed it. Now everybody's running with it. So cool. Hey, we got another like a celebrity name added to Star Wars when we get to the Skeleton Crew. By the way, too, we don't know
if we
when
ever get that.
But
January, February, or March, first quarter, I'm sure.
Yeah. And another Hondo thing, like you said about this Hondo connection, because it's just confirming again, and we already kind of confirmed before there's pirates and doing that. So if they don't do Hondo and Skeleton Crew, then I don't think he's ever coming. You know.
Well, we're in the Floniverse right now up until that movie. I mean, there's a lot of room for him to show up, but you would think sooner than later. And with the kids and a Jedi, I think that's the perfect opportunity. Right?
I mean,
be Ahsoka right now. It would be there.
No, it'd be a great, like I said, it'd be a great tie-in to the Mando season 3 and everything. And yeah, man, pirates are a thing in Star Wars anyway. So
yeah,
I am kind of stalling a little bit until Fallen Fett gets here because I know when I bring up this, he's going to have a lot to say on it. But I'm going to go ahead and start. We've been talking about. I don't even know how this came up, but I'm really curious on what the pit is going to say about this too. But when Boba Fett has been coming up a lot in the talking world about whether he's a Mandalorian or not. And I think we've talked about this before, but I don't know if we had a definitive conclusion or whatever, but I see it's making its rounds again. And I figured it would be a great time to kind of like present it here on the show, and let's digest it, because I'm in that. Here he is right here.
But you know what's funny?
Fallen Fett.
Star Wars is 46 years old, and we keep rehashing the same arguments anyway. So it's
We
okay
do.
to keep rehashing this one. It's okay. We covered it before. We'll cover it again in 3 years.
Yeah, because again, to catch up, Ernie. Hey, welcome, Ernie, to the show, man.
So sorry, I literally
you're good.
lost track of time, dude. I looked up and I was like, "Oh, I gotta go."
I do that too because I watch your show, and then I'm like, "Oh crap, I got to get ready for Sarnak."
I swear to God, yeah, it was just like 7:45, and I'm like, "Okay, wrap it up."
Yeah.
And I looked down right now, and I was like, "Oh, 8:13. Okay."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I wanted to like get you in this discussion too, because you are the definitive Boba Fett fan. And the discussion is coming up whether he's a Mandalorian or not. Okay, now arguments could be made whether he is, whether you're not. But I think first, before we get into anything like that, I think we have to define a Mandalorian. What constitutes somebody being a Mandalorian? Is it a race of people? Is it a creed? Is it the armor? Is it that you're just grandfathered in? So I think that's important first before you can ask if Boba Fett is a Mandalorian, right? You have to define, well, what constitutes that title.
Okay.
And I think you need to think about it in terms of what it was, Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace time, not Ahsoka time, not Mando time.
Because you think in the creed,
we haven't gone through the purge. We haven't
bit?
Gone through everything. That these guys right here, we don't know if the Children of the Watch existed back then. We know the Mandalorian planets and the way Bo-Katan's, they were all set.
Right.
That way existed. We know that for sure. But do we know that the Children of the Watch existed?
So, it was Children of the Watch did not exist in the time of the original trilogy, but it was an ancient, or it was like the old ways of thinking, right? So it existed, but it wasn't practiced, I guess, until
we had Night Watch, maybe,
right.
And I think that was even later. I don't even think that was going to be going on during Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, like I have to me so this, how I define a Mandalorian is somebody who takes basically the living the life of the Mandalorian creed of, and it doesn't, I'm not talking about a specific faction of Mandalorians. I'm talking about just in general, their weapons are their religion. They wear that Beskar armor. You cannot, I mean, if someone tries to take it from you, it's either you're dead, you know what I mean? Or you gave up the life. Those are, like, to me, the definitions of a Mandalorian. But there's also a race of people that call themselves Mandalorians, which Boba and Jango is not. If we say, like, Boba is grandfathered in because Jango was a Mandalorian, like if you're going back in the times of Jango and Boba, if he inherited the armor and he puts it on, but now he's living life as a bounty hunter, I just don't. To me, I don't think that constitutes him as being a Mandalorian.
Well, I'll let Ernie go for a minute here, but I think we talked about that Axe-Woves thing that would have killed him, and he's not. He's still Mandalorian. But go ahead, Ernie. I'm gonna let you hit this.
I think it's hard to say based on this question. I would love a Jango show about this, right?
Yeah.
Maybe some type of, or even a Mandalorian show of this type of question that can dive into this on what explains it more, because I feel that way, that they were brought into it. And in all honesty, I do take on this Boba that we get now that he doesn't care. I think it's just a right for him to wear the armor, to where that's what he gets called upon, as far as that armor isn't rightfully yours. I think that's all he shows by it. I don't think he takes by the creed or anything else. Boba alone he's a Fett to himself, and that's it. And he more honors his father than the religion of Mandalore. So to say that, I believe that Mandalore itself is like that. You were born on Mandalore, you're a Mandalorian, but you have to adopt the ways. And in order to be that, though, I feel like you do have to be represented by one of the houses of Mandalore.
Yeah, be sponsored.
Which there's
almost
so many,
like,
correct?
Yeah.
So to say that what we know of now is that Jango was brought in, but he's not, okay, but we don't know that story. I think Boba is more to honor his father and his own family, his legacy through that, than even caring if he was considered a Mandalorian or not.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest difference with that, of saying that. Now, other ones, though, I think you have to be brought in by family. Let's take Sabine, for example, right? Sabine has a whole track behind her, you know,
She's blood. She's
correct.
Oh,
Her house and who
Direct,
her mom was. I think that's a true Mandalorian there. And not only that, but the way that she then displays her armor with her own paintings to further her family, to show that way, you know, of this is me and the art side of my father and like that. So hers even gets to more of explaining of why she does the things that she does, even to represent her house that she represents of, you know, Clan Ren. So when you get into that, I think that is a true Mandalorian. You had to be from one of the families. You had to be brought in, and to say that Jango was brought in that way, correct. But I don't think it was like long enough, right? I feel like in order for you to establish something, it has to be more. So it should have been Boba, and then on from Boba from there, and maybe like if Boba had kids, then maybe you can be accepted as far as like that, because I feel they're so about their people and who they are. I don't think just because Jaster brought him in, he's considered right away, right? Yeah. I mean, they even looked at him. They said that during the thing.
See, I see that a little. It depends. I mean, I know that's the children of the watch part, but when they take a foundling in, they're in. Like, I don't see Grogu as not a Mandalorian. I don't see as not a Mando, and all the kids they talked about,
And you're there though on the planet though, or with
we don't know when Jango. We don't know when Jango was brought in.
Correct. Oh well.
So are you saying, Chris, like once the Mandalorian?
He said he was a foundling, right? And brought in by Jaster Muriel, and then he with the clone. But I think once you're brought in, you're Mandalorian. Boom, that's your new family.
No matter what you do later on,
whatever.
Oh, see, and I'm
like
going off
American,
of your
right?
kid.
Unless I get kicked out or excommunicated, I can move to England. I'm still.
I was going off of your kid thing. I didn't know he was brought in as a.
Oh, we don't know.
As a foundling.
Didn't they say it was a foundling on his?
I don't remember that
DNA
part.
On his.
No, when he had said it, I thought he just said who was then trained by or brought in by. I don't remember that he was a foundling. I honestly don't.
I don't remember it now. It's been a minute, but I couldn't that. But that's how I took it. And I think if he was brought in that way by Jaster, I think he's in. Just like Din is in and brought in Grogu. There's no question. Because an adoption is the same. Foundling is just an order.
100%, dude.
As far as we're there. Then the thing is with Boba, if he's a direct, I mean, he is the carbon copy of Jango, unaltered. He's the same guy. And Jango doesn't wear a sigil. Boba does. Right. It's weird, right? Because Boba wears a Mando's sigil.
This is all theory crafting after the fact, right? Because George Lucas did his thing, and then these things come up. But so what you're saying is then maybe what Chris is saying is like, what if you're a Mandalorian, you're always a Mandalorian, even if
he may not claim it. He may not claim it and do the thing, but really all he's got to do is turn it back on, and he is.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, you know what? I'm with you. And then you're back in. I think that's like again, our thing. No matter what, I was born here. And I was born to American parents. You know, he was born to a Mandalorian dad.
I would accept that as a rule of thumb of a Mandalorian, but I would also try to add the caveat of you have had to walk as a Mandalorian at one time in your life to maintain. For example, like if Boba
he may at some point.
Maybe we don't. There's a gap there. Yeah, there's a gap there. But like as far as we know on paper, he was just a bounty hunter after Jango. Like we don't know what Jango was training him to be, right? So he could have been like training as a Mando at that point as a kid, and then when Jango died, and Jango was just hired at that moment. He could have been like Din Djarin is. He's a Mandalorian, but he was hired as a bounty hunter throughout the Mando series. So yes, until we get, I guess, confirmation, we can say we only know Boba Fett as a bounty hunter, and then as what we got him in the Book of Fett,
But that part right there, again, a little earlier, you said Boba wouldn't be because the lifestyle he lived, because he went bounty hunting. Well, that's exactly what they have Din doing,
right?
Djarin doing.
I would say if.
Just because it's sanctioned makes it okay.
No. That was no.
It's children of the watch. I get is different.
Than that was their creed. But I figured, like for example, like you said, you brought up Axe Wolves. Wolves, but he was in that mode, and then he strayed, and he came back. So it was like to me.
So for those time, was he a Mandalorian the whole time?
Yes, because by your definition, if you walked it,
I agree. I agree that he was the whole time because he was born to it, and he is it no matter what kind of They can't say he's not Mandalorian. He's sure he was. He was born there. Shut up.
Yeah. So
You know?
I guess it's foggy with Boba. Boba Fett's
Like
a tricky character because we don't have anything definitive, right?
Because he's really Kaminoan, right?
Yeah, he's a clone of. You have to like by proxy. He is Jango Fett, just in a different path, like different multiverse of Jango, different path. He's identical.
What if Jango was raised by Jango?
Yeah, exactly. Ernie, would you want? And your whole life, did you want Boba Fett to be a Mandalorian? Because Chris brings up the mythosaur. That is like the overarching symbol for the Mandalorians, and then you're in your houses, in your clans. But like, do you want him to be a Mandalorian? And if it came out like, look, he never walked the path, so he was never officially a Mandalorian. Like, I mean, how would that affect you?
With these introductions to the shows, it is weird now, because to us it was just a symbol of the mythosaur.
Yeah, we thought
we didn't even know it was a mythosaur
Chris
for
has.
a long time.
We didn't.
It was Death's Head. It was
correct. Yeah, it has so many different. The Bantha skull.
Right.
When I was a kid, it was Bantha skull. Like,
we always said
it was.
Always.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then, from this one to this one, his crest.
Right.
And like that, you had to get from the old books and everything about what every piece meant and like that. But he wore these two symbols, and so that was Boba. So to see that crest and what it is now, and you're right, how Jango didn't have it, it is very weird. I would like an explanation to it.
To that point, that the wheat, is that not House Fett?
Yes.
Is that
yes?
So
yes.
There's the
I
House
forgot.
Fett.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I said, and that tells me that Boba knows the ways of choosing a clan or walking the way. Like he's been trained in some sort of, and throughout his, he had free reign of the galaxy. He was working for the Empire. He'd go and not get, he didn't have anything to really worry about, because even in the old EU books, he came and went as he pleased, and he had his own little set of rules. So he could have absolutely adopted that as the, like, we're saying Jango because Jango was an afterthought of the books and all that stuff, right?
Correct.
So we can theory craft it or headcanon as like, and maybe that's what the Book of Fett was trying to show us when he was a little kid. It just didn't, when the ship was taken off and slave, that he was, so much into being a young Jango or whatever is, being his father is, and could be learning those ways. So, just real fast.
Or he's just chasing family. I don't know what the symbolism was. And just
it never concluded, man.
Like he has dad issues. That's all I'm getting.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. And then that, to me, it was the issue of that's all he knew.
Yeah.
And then getting with these Raiders taught him to grow.
Yeah.
So that's as I kind of seen it, because he was his own clone for him, and they went on these missions together. As we got into later with everything, as far as then his dad was gone and he went with the other bounty hunters and he started to learn. Then you see the growth. But again, it still does not explain the mythosaur, the crest, the anything. And now too, I don't even know if you know, Chris, but the crest even changed. It went from 5 to 7. And so a lot of people were pointing that too, saying that the original was 7 and now it's 5. And what I'm talking about are the
really?
Yes, I have 5, and I'm like, son of a bitch.
Some artists just effed around and messed with it and made it canon.
And then it's back now to 7.
Now it needs to be worked out somewhere. Somebody's getting yelled at for that.
Okay,
why did you paint 5?
Yeah, it's so funny how it's so funny how we go to those continuity issues. Like, I mean, they're it's like, wait a second, and this is why we bring up the discussions of Boba Fett and stuff.
Well, for me, it was when I got these, and I've always been in love with Fett, was you want to learn why, right? I mean, if you're going to get something tattooed on your body, what is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mythosaur's skull, like Chris said, was not us. That wasn't us then, but it meant Boba Fett. It really did.
It's Boba Fett's insignia.
It's Boba Fett.
That's how I would explain it to everybody when I say
that's Boba Fett. And if somebody saw it. And to when I was going to Disney or anywhere that somebody sees that, they automatically say, "Oh, Mandalorian." And it really does make me feel,
now it's
cool, right?
Now that symbol means Mandalorian, right? That's the thing. And
but they think it's in the last 3 years, and it was in the 90s.
Of course.
And then so the crest, everything that me and Chris are talking about has a symbol, from the blood droplet to that wheat, and the 5, meaning that it went through the 5 families. The F, well, it looks like an F. That's what I call it all the time, but it's another symbol too. Everything has meaning, and the meaning behind it was that you put out for your family to the last, basically, if you want to break it down easy way, to the last drop of blood. I'm going to make sure that my family is protected till my last drop of blood, is what you barely put it as. Yeah. And here's the growth of my families and what my families came from being wheat farmers to this and that, like the whole background of it. And you're like, okay, cool. I'm wearing this. And that's why he has it on to represent. And now we roll into the Mandalorian, like you said, and the mythosaur changed and had that look to it of the creature, but it was still the symbol. Right. And now what Mandalore was and who was from it, and this mythosaur is becoming a big thing. So yes, absolutely, I do feel that there is something needs to be answered of, well, then why did Boba choose that?
Well, it's also goes
back. Remember, Django was around long enough. It just hit me now because he told him because he hated the Jedi. Remember, just hit me right there. He was probably as a kid to know enough about the Jedi Mandalorian War. Right, that had gone on to where he hated the Jedi, so he wouldn't have been new. It just was going through.
That's okay. That's true.
Yeah. So, sorry, I didn't mean to kind of go astray there.
Oh no, but another thing is too, everything goes back to the holiday Christmas special too, because Boba Fett rode a supposable. I don't know if it was a mythosaur.
That wasn't a mythosaur. That wasn't a mythosaur.
Okay,
it was a creature.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here.
As time went on, it changed to that, and they tried to say that.
Yeah. So, Ms. Sunflower, if he takes this is like I said, that whole thing is it a creed, or is it a bloodline? So, if
Cobb Vanth was neither. So she's right. Cobb Vanth had no business with it. That's why it was so easy to take it from him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, it was just he could have just took it from him too. But
not only that, but Cobb felt that way though too, like as if a people know that.
Yeah. He's on this
right. So, like, if that's spread throughout the universe, as far as you're not supposed to wear that, you're not Mandalorian.
Where he says knew what the armor was, but I don't think he understood the rules of it. Like he was just like,
nobody tries to yank it off of Boba.
Correct.
Din gives it back to him or lets him keep it, and then Bo's not trying to take it off of him. She's just talking shit to him.
Yeah, told them this is to protect my village here. You don't, you wouldn't mess with the Mandalorian.
Yeah. Right. See, that was always Din's thing, right? The Children of the Watch thing. If you're not a Mandalorian, then or if you're not a Children of the Watch, because remember, even like Din didn't come across any other Mandalorian that wasn't a child of the Watch, because he was like, "What are you doing with that? Take it off." He did that with Cobb Vanth. He was saying that to Boba Fett. You know what I mean? He's like, when he saw Bo-Katan take off the helmet, he's like, "Your guys aren't Mandalorian." So it like was a shock to him. It's the only thing he knew, and then it just opened this huge world to it. So.
And then we think that there's different, and then we see Bo, that she saw the mythosaur, and what does all that mean? And now, being blessed by it. So I hope that somehow book of Boba, or maybe the Mandalorian itself, could spread into that meaning of everything. That would really, really be cool.
Just like we dealt with Ahsoka and all her trials and tribulations and past and everything. I would love to, that would have been a great book of Fett when he was in the back to tank, more or less discovering who he was and discovering his past, and that whole transition when he's seeing Jango fly away. It would be great to Jango was teaching him to be a Mando. You know what I mean? That would have been like confirmation, really cool.
But what? The setup is still there, because I was saying I would have wanted to see more. So it's still, it still could be there. Right. Yeah. I mean, but yeah.
Matt Logic checking in. Did Jango have ties to Death Watch?
We don't know enough, I don't think, about Jango at this point in canon. I don't think so.
Nothing in canon. Because nothing in canon. I don't even think about EU, like the Jango books, those little children books and Boba Fett books that came out. Back in the day. I know there was a lot of
young Jango.
Yeah, young. I know nothing about the video game, if it even mentioned. I know, like I said, it's EU and stuff, but if we can even answer that yet. So
no,
we don't know.
Nothing that we know of. So the answer is no for now.
The biggest shock to us was that episode where Boba Fett showed the chain.
Yeah,
that was huge. What?
That's where I thought he said foundling, but I don't know what he said there. So
I'd have to go back to it and see.
I think he just said my father was Jango, which it was his master was,
correct. Yeah,
it was like an inheritance.
Master, they don't use it. Who got it? Maybe he got it from.
Yeah, he didn't say master. He just said, I think he was just trained by or something.
I'm gonna have the volume.
You're right. The verbiage is very. it means something.
It really does.
Yeah, it has
Well,
to.
because like if he says
Yeah.
foundling, then that is, to me, that's different. That's what I'm saying.
That changes
you-
everything. Yeah.
That's that to me is the growing up in the religion. Okay, that's Din.
Yeah.
Din was a foundling, literally found, literally brought into this, and that's how he's lived now.
Yeah.
He's Mandalorian, yes. I don't think you can come in or like that. I think it would take a lot for Din now to train Boba to say, let me make you a real Mandalorian. You know?
Right. That's what Mando Mike is talking about here. He may have been indoctrinated into the Mandalorian belief and then went rogue after he acquired the uniform. Well, after his dad died, that's when he went to
see,
bounty
that's a
hunting.
great point. Like we said, we don't know that story behind it. What if Jango was teaching?
That's
right?
headcanon. Yeah, nothing official, right? That's
correct.
We can say that as like, hey, that's a speculation because there's a Jango or Boba was what 10 years old, 9, 10 in Attack of the Clones. Like when we got introduced to him.
Well, Boba was 10. He would have been he would have been just being born in Phantom Menace, right? That's when they did the whole cloning stuff.
Yeah, okay. Oh, good. Great. Jeez. Yeah, so we know there's 10 years there of Jango, he was we don't know if he was a bounty hunter the whole time and stuff. So Bootleg Joe checking in. Yes, he's sick and missing. He hasn't been on the show in a long time.
Bless his heart.
Yeah, so
we still love you, Joey.
Miss Sunflower says, do we want a book of
heard in a long time?
Yeah, do we want a book of Boba season 2 to tackle these questions?
Yes, Miss
If
Sunflower.
that's the purpose of tackling these questions and then to propel him into the current time, absolutely. I would love a back and forth, like a back and forth 8-part or 6-part episodes of major backstory, because what we've been missing with Boba Fett the whole time has been that whole most feared. What we got is nice guy Boba, and we need the transition. Yes, Chris.
Whoa, because I'm up here.
Yeah, I know.
Screwed you up.
I almost said it. Yeah,
he said, and this is my father, Jango. And then so Din says, "Oh, your father was a foundling," and Boba says, "Yes."
Oh,
so that's what it was. So that was
it is confirmed.
Yeah, so he was
so if he's a foundling
of Jaster Muriel.
Wow,
a foundling of Jaster Muriel. Okay,
so foundling only used by Children of the Watch?
Like I think it's just an adopted.
No, I think that's somebody was adopted into the
adopted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A lost child they found somewhere, and that's I think that's just all their culture. There's gonna be things that bleed into everything, right? Like the armor obviously bleeds into each one. So it's just how they use it is different. Same thing about the kids. I'm sure that's pretty universal.
I got you. Rhino Hobbies checking in. Hello there, and also Albo Army. That Commander Super 7 was amazing. I don't know what the commander.
The Cobra Commander.
Oh, is that
Super
maybe
7? One of Scott's reviews.
Oh, maybe. Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree. If that's what we're talking about, then I absolutely agree. Crystal, he's also checking in. Hi. I don't know if that's what you sound like. I'm just like trying to,
It sounded
like nailed it. Oh, you
I did. I think I did. But it's so much. It's so okay. Like I said, this is the perfect example of why Boba Fett's such a cherished, lovable character and means so much, because he's had very little screen time, very little to do with a lot of Star Wars things. But we could talk about just the fact that, like, the question is he a Mandalorian or not? And you can span, we need a book, a series, a talk. I mean, really. And that's what's great about Star Wars characters and Star Wars in general, that's exactly what I said. Okay, cool. Albo, the reviews are awesome, man. Thanks you for checking those out too, by the way. I do have that Cobra Commander. It's awesome. I actually want Super 7 to make Star Wars toys, but I digress. So a season 2 would be great to tackle those issues, because I know that what we're getting is supposed to be this whole universe, but I mean, I don't know, for just entertainment's sake. You know what I mean? Not for the bigger
season
picture.
2 it has to be like Tales of the Galaxy, like they do Tales of the Jedi, and go back and fill in Boba gaps.
I'm cool with that.
Gaps, I would be too.
Last week we described we said that Guillermo del Toro was making a Jabba the Hutt. It was a scrap idea. Would it be cool, like they're doing Tales from the Jedi? It would be like Tales from or Scum and Villainy Tales, like, and it would be like Jabba's tale. and then Boba Fett, and have all these kind of like in
just like those
animated
books
form,
used to
and
do, and then just give us background stories,
That
give
would
us
be-
added stories to main characters, just
that
little
would be
5-minute
amazing.
things. Yes.
You know what you can do though. I mean, just to keep the consistency going, is we have Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Sith, Tales of
Yeah, yeah,
Mandalore,
yeah.
Do it all,
Tales-
man.
Tales of the Hutt.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
because then you can get into the Hutt family so
Yeah.
deep with different episodes all the time, reaching across a span of seasons, right?
I'll tell you what.
Same
it's
thing
better
with
than those certain point of
Mandalore,
view
everything.
books, so yeah.
Always just keeping them short and sweet and to the point,
Correct.
covering some lore and being
But then
done.
doing
and-
different all the time. And then
But you know what?
imagine that.
The thing is, would that make them any money, or would it just make us happy?
It almost, maybe you're right. Maybe it'd be play out just
If-
like Visions played out, where it's like, like I
Yeah.
mean,
It would make us
if
happy.
you
Those are
had
cool,
the
'cause-
characters behind it. So
Yeah.
their little kid
That's
show
true.
going around right now, that Jedi show, has tons of
Mhm.
toys. It's supposed to be doing okay and everything. If
Yeah.
you could come out the gates of some kid-wise product out there with it already ready to go, which is very hard right now in the Star Wars that we know to do, but we
Yeah.
know it can happen, then maybe yes.
but also keep it animation, Chris. Too. Don't do live action. Keep it animation.
no, not
Keep it
live action.
short.
It has to be animation.
10-minute segments to where it is cheaper for the studios to do, like in that style, and send it out to other companies out, just like you do Visions, but make them like actual
Yeah.
canon stories and stuff.
That would be
I'd dig
cool.
it. Yeah,
I'd be down. Hey, Miss Sunflower had a point. Can you get that 839 one real quick?
sure. So she says, foundlings still have to take the oath, though, to be considered a real Mandalorian. I don't think Boba took the oath.
I think the oath really only plays a part in the Children of the Watch.
That's what I'm thinking.
Where Din is. They do take an oath on Mandalore because she said it, right? Bo said she did it for ceremony, but I think that's really for just the royal family. She said, I took it for as part of ceremony. She didn't care. And saying she did it as part of means other people have a choice not to do it, and they're still Mandalorian. That's how I took that, right?
Yeah.
I did it because I was in front of everybody and had to do it. But there are people that choose not to, and they're still Mandalorian.
I think just like
That's how I
any
take
religion,
it.
though, I think like any religion, some things start happening to you that make you go, right? And so we see that with Bo at the end, with the Mythosaur,
Yeah,
what's going on as she's reading it, and this. Like I hope we get to revisit all that because I do want to know more.
I
there's
do too.
all of that. Well, just this too, when Ahsoka, that we learned there was the Night of 1,000 Tears was done by what's his name, and that took out the families, and we're getting a timeline for this stuff to be
that
played
was
out
somewhere
in-
like right around Return of the Jedi, right before Return of the
correct,
Jedi.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
now we know, and it's like I want to know more. What happened? What was going on?
yeah.
There's
There's
little tidbits like that is what
Yeah.
pushes us to want this more of.
I've talked to Chris about
what
doing
can we do?
something. Yeah, it's some sort of project where is a an official like physical timeline that we can plug and play. We can plug in information as we get it. Like, okay, Night of 1,000 Tears happened here. We know, and then Ahsoka did this, and then like Balin did that, and like have this ongoing scrolling timeline that you can plug in all this information and you can go right to it. And I think it'd be very fun to kind of like explore, because again, as like Ernie said, as we get information, we do this in our heads, but it gets very convoluted at times, like where, you know what I mean? So it'd be kind of fun to explore how to do like an actual timeline,
Have 6 years and free time.
And you know what, too? I'd be happy to if I just had a lunch with Filoni and he started explaining to me what's in his head, and I just sit there and cry.
Something interesting. This is something interesting, and this might segue to the other talk. Is I saw the Sam Witwer little 20-second TikTok talking about how Filoni explained to him about continuity and canon. And he said that Filoni told him, because he was like telling him, hey, something's not jiving here. And it's like, because he said it here and he said it here on two separate things. And Filoni told him, goes, look, this is all hearsay. It's like all we're witnessing is hearsay and like a certain story from a certain person.
Point of view.
So if we're getting Ahsoka, we're getting it from Ahsoka and Hu Yang's point of view. We're getting Luke Skywalker's, the original trilogy. So what Filoni was saying is like, it's okay if things don't jive, if those don't mesh up, butt up, and because it's like, maybe like he used the example, it was like Ahsoka's saber was blue here, but in this story it was green here because how it was told. You know what I mean? It's almost like that event, that Luke Skywalker book, how like people
Oh,
made
the
him
Legends of Luke Skywalker.
the Legend of Luke Skywalker, right? Like it's told from certain point of views, but the guys who were actually there were like, that didn't happen that way. That's interesting that Filoni would actually like say that, and because what we try to do is we try to make sure the timeline is correct. We try to make sure
He's
the
just talking about the small
is,
times, though.
I hope he is.
And
Yeah.
usually it is. It's something that where when he says that, you're thinking it's not being shown. It's being shown to us through a camera, but in the story, it's just being shown through their lenses.
Right.
Right. So they see it different ways. Well, like Luke and Kylo.
Yeah.
I think Paul's the one telling the whole story, and that's how it's going to end up being.
Awesome.
So
here's the
I
thing.
just want to throw that out there.
He's bringing the crew together. He doesn't have time to be telling stories. Huyen can tell the stories.
Yeah.
Carson
Hu
can
Yang's
be.
gonna tell
I just want somebody to be telling the stories. Okay.
Yeah, the droids tell the stories. Carson's bringing the crew together. He's going to bring. Dude, that's what's going to happen right before Heir of the Empire. Whatever show ends, it's going to be him having a meeting with Din and Bo and Boba and Luke and Ahsoka and Ezra.
Yeah.
And they're going to go ape shit.
Yeah, I mean, I brought it up because when we start talking about like the surviving Jedis that we have, so like every story now has a surviving Jedi. Well, this person survived Order 66, and then he's been on the run, and then he had a secret apprentice. So we had, I mean, Kanan did it, Ahsoka, Grogu. We still have Quinlan Voss out there. We have the Jedis from Kenobi. We have so many Force users and Jedis that were Balin is a perfect example.
Do you know I saw a post on that the other day that said, even though we had Order 66 and this Filoni first, there's still a lot of Jedis around, aren't there?
Yeah, and this is where it comes to, right?
Yeah,
and then it's also and it's also okay. So like you say like every story like Jude Law's character is a Jedi. I mean, we have all these, and at one point I get it because it's a big universe and they all just were involved in the Clone Wars. Like not every Jedi was involved.
They weren't around with the clones right there. They weren't generals.
Some were exiles, right?
Were out.
Yeah,
not even exiled. They were on a different mission. Not everybody's on the front lines.
Some were involved. Some were exiled. Some are peacekeeping missions. Some
are cooks.
Like Kanan's works out so good because he got away from his master and was able to run away, and he was young.
Which makes a lot of sense to me.
So then he grows.
And
correct.
Cal, kind of same. And
Cal. Now the continuity issue resides in Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of Jedi eras. When Yoda's talking about, and they're talking about how like Luke's our last hope, Obi-Wan says all but extinct. And I know that when Obi-Wan says Jedi are all but extinct, that could be like, look, out of 7 million Jedi, there's 700 left. So all but extinct he could be saying like, besides these 700 Jedi.
That leaves it open. It doesn't say I'm the last one and me and Yoda are the last one.
Yeah.
It's saying we're all but extinct. Yeah. There's only like 40 of us left, man.
And I was, exactly. All but 4. And there seems to be about 40 Jedi that were following along, right? Because I always go like, okay, we know where Ahsoka was after Order 66, and we know where she was post Return of the Jedi. Why didn't and everybody knew Ahsoka was Anakin's master. Yoda, Obi-Wan knew that Anakin turned to Darth Vader. Why not go and ask the apprentice to help instead of Luke's? I'm saying after the fact, right?
I get it.
Yeah. Why did they want Luke that was untrained to go face Vader where you could have had the apprentice go face Vader?
Because it needed to be a Skywalker taking out Vader. It couldn't.
That's
be
what. He
had the kids.
Good answer.
They've seen it. Then whatever. Yoda's been through the World Between Worlds, kind of.
And it wasn't a combat thing too, either, right?
Right. It didn't have to be necessarily. He needed to destroy Vader, which he did without killing Vader, and Anakin died.
Okay.
Result,
I just, like I said, I just talked myself. I just out of it because
as you were talking about it talked me through.
I did too because like Luke was sent to bring the good out in Vader for Vader to destroy the Emperor. He didn't beat him in combat. He didn't. Well, he kind of did, but it took Luke Skywalker to turn Vader. And I guess Ahsoka wasn't going to do it. So I guess to answer that issue what people have out there, that's like, why isn't Ahsoka involved in the downfall of the Empire or these other 40
also,
Jedi?
The fact that Yoda said, "The last of the Jedi will you be?" Right. That might be the part, but that's also kind of explained when Balin spoke this time about the Boken Jedi. Right. So I think Yoda would be talking about a classically trained by a
classically
Jedi
trained.
master,
Okay.
from the Order 66 time frame, right? We're the last of the old breed.
Maybe the Jedi Temple itself, the whole
all those
you went through the trials, the everything.
Everybody who'd been through it, right? Because Kanan never went through his trials, Ezra didn't go through trials, although they're both gone at this point, right? I mean, Ezra's in a different galaxy, and
Ezra's gone. Right, exactly.
We don't know where Cal is. He might be dead too, right? Really, the question is on Ahsoka.
That's true.
Grogu maybe a little, but definitely Ahsoka.
Right.
I think during this time, since they knew it had to be a Skywalker. We went with two different things right there. But the Boken Jedi we were on, sorry. But I think that's part of it too, is when he says the last of the Jedi, we're the last classically trained Jedi. I think that's really nice.
And also goes back to the dialogue. The Emperor knew as well as I did, if Anakin would have any offspring, he'd be a threat to the Emperor.
That's why the children were hidden in the first place.
So I get, and that's where I always thought the prophecy was going to be expanded on. And maybe it was in that there was a book with the prophecy stuff. I forgot which one it was.
Oh, yeah. But it was about, it was the Dooku book.
Oh yes, it was the Dooku book. Where it expanded on the prophecy.
Was it Dooku's or Qui-Gon's? It was Dooku's for sure.
Because that would have been better explained and said like Anakin was to bring balance to the Force. And we always kind of like our certain point of view of what balance actually meant, because the light side was in flux. It was in power, and then Anakin brought it to the equal. That's the real meaning of balance, I guess.
Yeah, destroying the Jedi and leaving it just
right. And then the kids, and then the offspring of Anakin being the threat to the Emperor himself. And it's probably because the kids are the only thing that could bring Vader,
and then to bring it full
back.
circle, someone who just calls herself Skywalker. And there we go. Got it.
So is Rey a real Skywalker? No.
Now, as far as where Ahsoka is, there's probably two ways to think of this. Okay, she's there in the battle. We're just seeing the Skywalker's version of it.
Yes,
she's somewhere around. We just don't see her, and that's
you're right.
Story to be told.
Just
right?
like
so we don't see the Ghost crew.
Just like Hera's involved.
Right, they're all involved. We just don't see that camera.
And the way that he's done it, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. There's been no certain episodes to show, like
the Clone Wars 7, right?
That's what I was just gonna say. Clone Wars 7 is huge.
Yeah,
because of that. And then in Ahsoka, where he says, "I don't remember this." Yeah, you weren't here. That's good enough for me. That's like
was
holy
so
shit.
Good. Yeah, this is after.
That is just so
man.
oh my god, right?
Yeah.
Because no, you weren't there. And if you watch 7, Anakin, you can
this is the one I asked you to come to.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yes, it just. So that's what I'm saying. Those little things to do that about Ahsoka, I've never had a question before. That was always out there because it was. So how does this play in? We don't know who this is. So to bring it now, oh my god,
So that would be question. So that would be okay, and that's one option. The other option is she's broken. She's still no Jedi. She's made it clear she is no Jedi. Correct. So when Yoda says that, it's not a lie.
Right, because when she came back to Sabine, it was years later.
At this point, between Rebels and here, last time we saw her with Rebels, she's dealing with the Vader stuff, right?
Yes.
When we see her in Ahsoka, she's fixing the stuff that got broken in Rebels, right? So she's gone the gray. She was scared. And the more I think about it, the better I am about this Ahsoka transition, how her character and Sabine and everything.
Sure.
But she gets broken in Rebels. She was already part of the Rebel Alliance. She was helping out. She was in the fight. She goes through this. They don't talk to her again. She's not in the rebellion. That's probably what happens, right? Because nobody really hears from Ahsoka again until afterwards, I think.
Right.
Let's see. And then for a while, she's just broken away, doing her own thing, doing good things for people and plans like she's done in the books and stuff. And then something brings her back. And she goes through the Sabine thing, gets scared, does her thing, comes back when Grogu specifically gets. When did we find Ahsoka? How did they run into Ahsoka?
She was after Morgan Elsbeth.
Bo. She knew Bo.
Bo, that's right. She knew what planet she was on at that time too.
Which is another connection, by the way. We just don't ever talk about it.
What do you mean when she was brought into
Bo is the one that sent Din to Ahsoka.
Yes.
Yeah.
As
so
for Ahsoka.
our connection's already there, but to get him back again, Bo knows where Ahsoka is. Usually, or right there.
Bo knows where. Yeah, Bo knew where Ahsoka would be at that moment. Like, go to this planet.
Yeah, at that. They're close still, right?
Yeah.
Bo knows baseball.
Bo knows football.
Yes.
Bo knows.
Yes.
I used to have that poster up in my room.
Oh yeah,
everybody did. I hated sports, but I had
talk about household names. Bring it back to the circle there.
I had the refrigerator Perry poster that's in
Hey, I'm waiting for that classified figure, by the way, too.
Right.
That's what I'm saying too. I was going to say that. And again, you want to bring it full circle, Chris. Good job, because we're waiting on that figure. Yeah.
Bo Jackson to Refrigerator Perry.
Yes.
Back to toys. All right, we're back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, but I just in my head, I just kind of headcanon that Rey Skywalker can actually be a legit. She could be a legit Skywalker, and I can tell you exactly how. If she's a clone of the Emperor, right, or the son. Okay, if the Emperor or if Palpatine was directly involved in using midichlorians to create Anakin. Essentially manipulating, I was like thinking like his own essence and own dark, to create the midichlorians. So like, essentially like Anakin is part Palpatine also because he created him. And then the whole by cloning Rey is in blood Skywalker,
And I thought you were going to go to Luke's hand, and I'm still.
I was too.
Oh no, yeah.
Luke's
No, I'm
hand.
sorry. If we still see Luke's hand, I'm sorry. I'm still all for it.
Well, that too.
The
I mean,
Force,
if it was
the midichlorians from Grogu, and having a part of Luke of using that blood.
Yeah.
Like I'm still all for it. And the
Right.
reason I'm still all for it is because it was still
helps.
introduced by what's her name having his saber.
Maz.
She always said that's a story for another time.
They
Well,
gave a
last
story
time-
in a comic. It's lame.
Oh, they do? Of how she
It
got
just
it?
got found outside of Cloud City and got bounced around like 7 times and eventually ended up in her hands from a collector. It's nothing
Really?
exciting.
Really?
So why can't she just say
Yeah.
that? Why can't-
And then what
why-
about
why
why is that
couldn't-
a story for another time?
I don't know. They did it in a comic. They just came up to me like 2 days ago.
Yeah, she could be like, I found it.
Yeah.
End of story. But
Yeah, I got it from a
See,
collector.
because
Yeah, they really set
You
us
gotta
up for
think that
nothing.
hand is
Yeah.
attached to. Okay, well the comics don't count now on that one. Let's take that one away.
Well, the
Let's
hand would
redo
have
that
got
one.
the hand would have got found somewhere too. If the saber did, the hand did, right? And
I
it-
always
it-
imagine just the hand with the saber. Like
Yeah,
like gripping a saber. Yeah, sure.
yeah. That's how it was cut. I know we saw it fall, but still.
Yeah, I
It
know
wouldn't
that
be
there was.
be the hit. When
Yeah,
it hit something finally, maybe jarred it loose. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
would see the hand as the key here, and I would be okay with that. And then
That's blood.
Well,
I feel that's our blood to put
Yeah.
back together. Honestly.
then she's got the blood of Palpatine and Skywalker, and then
Correct.
then-
see, there's. It's
that's
still can
back to our
happen.
old pre episode 9 theories, right?
Yeah, it is,
We
but
could
but
pull
it
that
still
out of
can
episode
happen.
120.
It still can happen because Bad Batch, you have Mount we can have the
Oh,
well, not at that moment, but I mean the facilities to do it. But you have the Snoke bodies in Mandalorian that they could be used extracting it from Luke's hand, and that's why they were
Yeah.
like, we need Grogu to complete the puzzle. Like we need a living Force user versus the material from Luke's hand. You know what I mean? To create, and it's failing. So
I'm sorry, I still want a Snoke story.
yeah, I think we're gonna get it. My foreshadowing of the Ahsoka and Mandalorian is the when we come into Mandalorian season 4. I'm just like speculating, nothing's official. That we're gonna get Thrawn First Order Snoke storyline going in there, and I think Snoke is gonna take over the First Order when Thrawn's demise hits. Like when Thrawn
Snoke
dies
has to
or whatever.
come from
Snoke's
somebody though. Those
Yeah, well,
clones
I-
have to come from somebody. So
Yeah.
I feel we need to know who this Snoke was or how he was made, because I get the whole Easter egg of seeing him in Mandalore though. So that
Mhm.
puts it in our timeline. He is out there though.
Yeah, I
But
always had it
he's-
in my
he's-
head that he was in the shadows the whole time. Did you guys get that too? Like,
I
when
did,
Leia
but
was-
that's Palpatine though. Palpatine was in the shadows the whole time.
see, I don't.
Correct.
I think that's separate myself. I think
So you're thinking
So-
that the Snoke is different, is a different entity.
yes. I don't
the-
think the Emperor was. I think that the whole that just real fast, Chris. Sorry to cut you off,
No.
but I think
Right
it was when the Emperor was telling Kylo Ren, like, I've been in your ear the whole time, and had all the
Uh-huh.
voices. I just think that was the dark side of whatever. I didn't think that was face value. And I could be wrong, you know what I mean? He could be manipulating the whole thing from Exegol, doing his things and saying, like, putting Vader in his head and Snoke in his head and all that stuff. But I took it at like all this pull to everything that brought you here, I set in motion kind of deal. And I kind of maybe that's what I want. I wanted Snoke to be a separate entity. I wanted the Emperor to have his whole, third faction coming in and destroying, like the Sith Eternal. So like I kind of took like when Leia was talking about it's Snoke, it's always been Snoke. He's been in our son's ear the whole time.
Oh.
I thought it was like a physical like somebody that was
It was.
mentoring him on the side, but nothing connected to the Emperor. That's what
it was in the comics. They've done that too. So that's why
they did.
That's what I was trying to get to was
okay.
in this story as a nemesis, because there's a point where he's walking around with Ben and Luke in the comics. So
Gotcha.
and they're there.
Oh.
He gets twisted from there, but he's there. It's during the Knights of Ren type stuff, I believe. In that
Snoke
that
is.
Yeah, Snoke's in the comics with Luke and Ben.
Okay.
So it kind of takes that part away. I mean, don't get me wrong. That might have been it was during Luke's time with he has the temple at that point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because he was guiding Kylo as Luke was. It's like Luke, Kylo's being torn. He had Luke, and then he had Snoke, and then of course that manipulation of Luke's actions brought Kylo over the edge.
It was there. He was putting things in his head. Emperor.
Because that makes sense to me when Leia says it. It's Snoke. It's been Snoke the whole time. He's the one who got to our son. When she told
that part. That part makes sense through the comic. But what I got from Snoke was he was ancient. I always thought, right? Didn't we get the idea that he was ancient, had been around a long time, was very wealthy because of the time, kind of like Ra's al Ghul would be, right? He'd been around so long.
Okay.
And now he's wealthy type thing.
Yeah.
That's how I took Snoke.
Right.
See, my thing is like Thrawn comes back and he grits the remnants, and he's like, "We're building bigger, better." I mean, everything. I'm just going to, like, it makes sense. This First Order now, it's like Thrawn's First Order, because it's bigger, better. It's bigger machines. All these things we're going to use. The Ilum as the Starkiller base, but then Snoke is there too. But also, like, after Thrawn's demise, Snoke takes over and takes the credit for that whole First Order, everything. Like Thrawn never gets to see his First Order in action. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I'm sure. Yeah, Enoch is gonna.
He's
gonna take
more
him out.
Shakespearean that way. You know what I mean? It's more Shakespearean that way, that Thrawn is the actual architect of the First Order, but never sees. So.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
It's just
something borrowed, something blue.
Yeah. He gets invited
for a circle. But yes, I mean, like, tonight's talk is all about continuity and how we digest theories and how things change constantly, right? So that like having a physical timeline makes so much sense, and really
that's a proof of it tonight, of both you and I saying something and Chris coming back with the comics. Like, there is an answer out there.
Yeah, it's a dumb answer, right?
I
hate
that
it.
Maz Kanata one really, really depresses me, because I thought it was be like this amazing story of how Luke's hand was found, or the saber was found, and she had to go through these things. It's just like, no, I just got off a.
Yeah, now that we're talking about it, it is pretty shitty that they've given two big story pieces in comics, because even I don't keep up with the comics. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's hard.
None of us really
keep up.
Right.
And the fact that there's so many sequel things that could make it better. Those could have been cool cartoons like the Clone Wars did for the prequels, right? They really should do a cool, not Resistance cartoon for the sequels.
And that's what I credit J.J. Abrams with. I do for Force Awakens. He gave us a lot of intros to things, like that story of how Maz had Luke's saber, Luke or an Anakin saber. You had the Guavian Death Gang. You had the Knights of Ren. You had all these things that were so, like, well thought out. Like, oh my God, this Star Wars universe got bigger with these other factions, other things going on. And what he sucks at is closing doors, finalizing things.
But think about it. The original trilogy, we introduced to 100 different things. And really the whole point was rectifying Luke and Vader at the end. Right.
But that's what
we
makes
didn't know the backgrounds of anybody. We didn't know about Tarkin. We didn't even know
that's what
about
made
Vader, really.
Honestly, that's what made the original trilogy so special, is because when they said Dark Lord of the Sith, there was nothing to go about that. So
they didn't say Sith then. They didn't say Sith till way later.
To prequels. That's it. I think in the I want to, it was just like the Clone War, like all these things that it was thrust into an already existing conflict timeline and energy going forward, right? Until we started getting everything. That's why that's why we needed more when the prequel and the sequels happened, because we already had so much already happen and explained to us that when they couldn't repeat that again, like give us more mystique and stuff. They had to actually like fulfill some of these things that they were introducing, like the Knights of Ren. They couldn't just say, "Oh, these are the Knights of Ren," and walk away. It doesn't work anymore. Like in my opinion, you had to like give us more. You're muted.
Yeah, I guess back then we didn't have the same type of crap we do now. We weren't used to long story sequels so much, trilogies at all, right?
Yeah.
It was, and now we're used to big interconnected stories, so we have to know everything.
Now we need
have
it.
to know every detail.
Yeah.
Oh, how dare you introduce the Guavian Death Gang and don't give me a whole separate movie to explain them, right? We weren't in 1977 or when we were kids. Obviously not in 77, but when we were kids. Hey, I really need a Greedo backstory.
Or the Hutt cartel, right? Or
if I don't get this, I'm gonna be upset.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Or Kanji Club.
The Kanji Club.
Kanji Club.
The first real look on TV of the Hutt clan was in the damn Clone Wars movie, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
That was stinky. That was the first time we got to deal with actual Hutts.
The five family, the Hutt cartel stuff, and man. So
God, you got to watch some shitty stuff to get good lore, right?
you do.
Like, oh yeah, or read crappy books or comics.
But
you really do.
We get Book of Boba Fett with the twins, and that was amazing being brought out.
Amazing.
Excellent.
Right? Like,
yeah.
And
see,
we come.
And what's funny is, I bet that was like a real shock to people seeing other Hutts, and then we were kind of desensitized about, oh no, Clone Wars showed me there's lots of Hutts.
Yeah. There's a lot.
It was like, so who's this? Oh, okay. This is from Uncle Smitty right here.
Yeah, we had
trying to figure out, looking at tattoos. Is that? No, it's not.
Yeah.
Don't speak.
No, that's Uncle Roy's kids.
It's a bigger world that we got exposed to now. That when they do introduce something new, it's like, hey. Well, like backstory, please. Yeah,
that's how everything is a backstory.
When we're growing up, it was just took it at face value. All right, cool.
And made up our own backstories with the toys.
That's it.
Oh yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
Oh,
that's it, man. So
especially when you looked at that card back, you didn't know who the hell that was. That's what you did.
Yeah, I was trying to think if the card back says anything about Darth Vader being a Lord of the Sith, like anything like that.
I want to see a radio drama on the novelization. Had the word
maybe the novelization
once, I think, and it might have been a reprint on that. But really, even the time of 91, 92, 93, when the Empire was out, there was still Dark Jedi. Yeah. It wasn't. They weren't using Sith. In a normal way.
I don't remember it when it came into our vocab. You know what I mean? Like when
right before the prequels. I think it was right before the prequels.
I think
it more described him. I want to say leader of the Galactic Empire.
Yeah,
something like that.
Or there might have been one Topps trading card way back when it said Dark Lord of the Sith.
It might have said Dark Lord, but like
you might be right.
Yeah, Sith, just Dark Lord, right?
Yeah, because like the prequels, they only said Master and Apprentice, and they said the rule of two. Not until episode 3, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if Dooku.
Oh no, they said Sith in the beginning and in Phantom Menace. No way the Sith could have returned.
There you go.
Dealing with the Sith Lord. You know.
Yeah.
Oh no, they were talking about Sith the whole time.
So I'm wondering if it was an EU thing that Lucas adopted, because like you said, if it was in the books since that it came out, and then Lucas used that into the prequels.
I'm sure it was his idea and it got put in somewhere. Nothing like that gets by.
He had his notes. Yeah.
He wouldn't have let somebody name the Sith. He named the Sith.
It's like poetry. It rhymes. That's all I said, and that was it. And
you need a good guy to see exactly this one way, and the bad guy to see.
And poor Filoni, Poor Filoni is a kid sitting there like this. I'm the one who said that.
Yeah, basically. You know, it was funny because like he came up with Ahsoka, but Lucas is like, that's mine. Yeah, Ahsoka's mine.
Yeah.
Filoni's like, yeah, all right, that's cool. I just drew her, you know. I drew the
That's
look.
what I'm saying. One day on his deathbed, Filoni's gonna end up saying, "Let it all out."
I did it all.
Yeah,
it was my creation. George,
I was 17 years old, sitting there giving him the story of Phantom Menace, and Jar Jar was supposed to be this, and yeah, like he just lets it all out, right?
I can totally see Attack of the Clones as a Filoni, you know, movie.
Oh yeah,
like there's so much shit thrown out, and he just trying to throw it all out at once, just twop.
Yeah,
you know, and that's what occurred.
I'm with you on Attack of the Clones, Chris. I think it's a very important movie and a very
nobody
good
ever
movie.
knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
We already knew Filoni was there the whole time. Like Snoke.
The whole time.
Yeah.
He's the Snoke. It's always been Filoni.
He's trying to tell us in the movies. Did nobody know? Look at Snoke. Flip the words around.
Yeah.
It's my middle name. Yeah.
No
It's
sex.
a cipher.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's get out of here. We'll see what happens within a week, and when we do this again next week. So I'm gonna, unless you guys have anything closing to say, I want to thank the Pit for being there. Everybody supporting us, liking, subscribing. That means everything in the world to us too, just to even hit that like button. But I'm gonna kick it off to Ernie to get us out of here, and we'll see you guys next week. So. That was a good talk. I like to sit back and open talk theory crafting. It's fun, you know. Sometimes when we don't have a show to go by, we just make up our own little, you know. We have to. It's
just
almost
guide
like
ourselves.
Yeah,
It's
guide
always Star
ourselves
Wars
and
talk.
yeah, it's always a list of things that aren't clear, and we always have to talk about them every once in a while.
And what's neat is as they do new stuff, right? Because we've been talking about the same shit since 1977 or whenever we started talking.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But every time you add something new. Just like we kind of did today. How did this affect everything we already
everything
knew? Right? Yeah. I'm talking. We need to talk about Empire Strikes Back from 1980 and how it relates to 2023.
Yeah,
you know, and that's what's neat about it. It's really cool. Or even 1977 to 2023. How is
because
that
Bespin's a gas planet? How can you know? Unless I know gas planets could be so dense that things could sit there on surface, floating in the surface. I mean, it's almost like solids. But you know, eventually that saber is.
Are we getting into this now? We're gonna get Neil. DeGrasse Tyson
get into like
Neil. Hey
yeah,
man, how's Bespin work, brother? There's no way.
Real science, yeah.
Sorry, Ernie. Go back to Ernie. What are you doing?
Yeah. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to that's what
out
we
of
do.
His mind, man.
But Fallen Fett, take us out of here, man.
Thank you guys so much for joining us again. If you please feel so inclined to help out, tell your friends about us. Hit that subscribe button, but also become a member of the Patreon crew out there. We have tons of specials for you, lots more people checking it out, and we are trying to give you that extra bonus for being a member and everything like that. So please, and then also don't forget that cool merch that we have up there as well. Thank you to tonight's sponsor, Tashi Station Emporium, for all your figure stand needs. Yeah, check that out. Get yourself a mug, a shirt, a hat. There's tons of stuff. Very, very cool.
I do have a shirt too.
It's all down there. Look at see.
Hu Yang ain't nothing to F with.
Yes,
Boom.
Right. That's what's
right
up.
there. Go get your own. They're up right now.
All the links are in the description. Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. All the links are below. We thank you, and hopefully the guys feel better and get well, and we'll have a full crew back very soon. You can check us out on all of our different socials as well. But in the meantime, until next week, just like it was brought up earlier, check out all of those extras that we have on, from toy reviews, mini shows. If you're new here, there's a lot to catch up on. We have content available for you throughout the week. And then join our little Star Wars community on Facebook. But you can also find us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and much more, which those have come up in more posts lately, right?
Yes.
Trying to get back at it. So go check those out. And the biggest thing that you could do is share that. That's always what helps. Hit that little, I like to call it the airplane button. Looks like a little paper airplane.
It does.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
If you don't know,
is that not what it is?
I don't know what it is. I don't.
I
always call it the paper airplane.
Oh,
right.
It is
the
now.
paper airplane, and then at the bottom, hit share to your story, and that allows other people to check us out and see. So if you're wondering how to do that, that's what we're talking about on Instagram. Twitter is repost, and so is TikTok, and that always helps out. So thank you guys, and we will see you next week.
With that, Chris,
remain geeky.
Remain geeky.
That's a good one.
Like
Shirt
it.
coming soon. All right.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
This is Grand Admiral Thrawn. You are listening to the Sarlacc Digest. What a fascinating play on words.